Horses are among nature's most majestic creations, symbols of strength, freedom, and raw beauty. Most people see a horse and are immediately struck by its presence, but not everyone treats these creatures with the respect they deserve. In some rural parts of Romania, wild horses still roam the hills and meadows, but many are restrained by brutal homemade traps designed to keep them from wandering off. It's a harsh practice that's gone unregulated for years, often leaving the animals maimed or worse. One man, a veterinarian vacationing in the Romanian countryside, found himself in the middle of that harsh reality one quiet afternoon. What started as a peaceful walk turned into something unforgettable. And what a wild horse did to thank him. Well, it might just bring a tear to your eye. The man had come to Romania for peace. He loved nature, loved animals, and most of all, loved those quiet moments where the world felt untouched. He was exploring a quiet trail just outside a small village, soaking in the view of open fields and tree-lined ridges, when something caught his attention. A sound, distant, faint, but unmistakable. The neigh of a horse. He stopped. There it was again. Then came the sound of hooves, galloping, wild, free. A smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. The thought of seeing wild horses in their natural habitat filled him with quiet excitement. He scanned the horizon but couldn't see them. Still, the idea alone was enough. But as he continued walking, he spotted something else, something darker, something wrong. Lying almost completely hidden in the tall meadow grass was a shape, unmoving. Cautiously he approached. He didn't know what to expect. Maybe an animal resting, maybe something worse. What he found made his stomach twist. A magnificent wild horse lay on its side, legs curled beneath it. Its chestnut coat shimmered faintly in the sun, matted with dirt and sweat. Its thick black mane was tangled and full of debris. It was beautiful, but clearly in distress. The horse's sides heaved with labored breaths. Its eyes were wide, glassy, filled with fear and pain. As the man took a step closer, it tried to move, but couldn't. A sharp metallic clinking sound followed the movement. That's when he saw the chains. Thick, rusted chains wrapped tightly around the animal's legs, pinning it to the ground. One end was bolted to a heavy iron stake buried deep in the soil. The man dropped to his knees. What kind of person would do this? He quickly assessed the situation. The chains weren't just wrapped around the horse's legs. They had dug deep into the skin. In some places, the flesh had started to grow around the metal. The horse had clearly been trapped here for days. It was malnourished, dehydrated, and losing strength fast. The man's training kicked in. As a licensed vet, he knew this wasn't just cruel. It was deadly. If left here any longer, the horse would die. He reached into his backpack, pulling out his travel knife. "Easy now," he whispered, approaching slowly. To his surprise, the horse didn't resist. It flinched slightly, but didn't kick or thrash. Maybe it sensed that help had finally come. Maybe it had given up fighting altogether. Either way, the man got to work. He started with the outermost chains, gently slicing through the ropes and trying to loosen the metal without causing more injury. Sweat poured down his face. His hands trembled with the effort, not from fear, but from how tight those chains were wrapped. Then he remembered something from his veterinary training. Paracetamol could help manage pain in horses, just like in humans, in the right dosage. Digging into his bag, he pulled out an apple and crushed 2 paracetamol tablets, hiding them inside. He held it near the horse's muzzle. It sniffed, then took the fruit with surprising gentleness, chewing slowly. He kept cutting, but then he stopped, horrified. One of the chains on the horse's back leg had actually embedded itself into the muscle. The skin had grown around it. It wasn't just trapping the horse, it was becoming part of it. Freeing it would be excruciating. Still, he pressed on. Every time the chain moved, the horse groaned softly, shifting its body. But it didn't lash out. It allowed him to continue, whether from exhaustion, trust, or some combination of the two. After 30 long minutes, the final piece of chain came free. The man took several deep breaths, his arms sore, his heart pounding. The horse was free. He poured bottled water over the wounds and cleaned them as best he could. The skin was raw, the injuries deep, but thankfully there were no signs of infection. Horses are tough. With time and space to heal, this one had a good chance. But the man still wasn't ready for what came next. The horse slowly, shakily got to its feet. It stood for a moment, breathing hard, adjusting to the feeling of freedom again. The man stood nearby, hands open, just watching. Then the horse did something extraordinary. It stepped toward him. One step, then another. Slowly, the giant creature lowered its head and pressed its face gently against the man's cheek. A nuzzle, a gesture of gratitude. The man froze. He felt a lump in his throat. Tears welled in his eyes. He raised a hand and stroked the horse's neck, feeling the heartbeat beneath the skin. For that brief moment, they were two creatures, different species, different worlds, connected by something simple and powerful: kindness. Then the horse stepped back. It reared up suddenly, letting out a loud, defiant neigh that echoed across the meadow. Its black mane whipped in the wind as its hooves came crashing back to the earth. The man stood there, stunned. The horse looked at him one last time, gave a slight nod, and turned to walk away. It moved slowly at first, but soon picked up speed. A trot, then a gallop. Then it was gone, disappearing into the horizon in search of its herd. The man stayed in that field for a while, just watching the spot where the horse had vanished. He had saved a life, but somehow it felt like he was the one who'd been given something, a gift, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the world, compassion matters. It changes things. Sometimes it even earns you a thank you from a wild horse. If you found a beautiful, broken creature in need, would you stop to help? And if that creature looked you in the eyes, said thank you in its own way, would you ever forget it? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts.